My name is Paul Nelson, and my project is called Animating Cascadia. I live in the Hillman City neighborhood of Seattle, Washington, which is part of the Cascadia bioregion, which is on the northeast corner of the Pacific Rim. Why me for this fellowship? I'm an award-winning poet. I've organized poetry events here in this bioregion for over 20 years, and I've done over 500 interviews. My work in radio helped me to be a better listener and to be an expert interviewer. It also helped me to learn how to attract the right kinds of subjects for interviews and people who would help improve the quality of my investigation, leading me deeper into the subjects that I've taken on over the past 20 plus years. Why now? The bioregional animation of Cascadia started in earnest only about 3 years ago, and is something I plan to do for 20 years, so another 17 years. And attracting the resources to make the work sustainable makes it easier. I'll do the work, but I can do more work if I don't have to worry so much about making a living. Festival attendance expanded by a factor of over 400% from the first festival to the second, and I expect a significant increase to the third festival, which is being run by a whole local organizing committee that I helped to put together. My experience, over 500 interviews, the first chapter in a serial poem which reenacts the history of this bioregion. A Time Before Slaughter was shortlisted for a Genius Award in Literature from The Stranger, which is the local news weekly. I've been the director of 2 successful festivals, and I'm consulting the third. I have a history of being a little bit ahead of the curve, and I think there's a lot to be learned from this bioregion for the rest of the world, and for the people of this bioregion to learn more about the culture that is already here and how to make the best of the good parts of it and how to minimize the bad parts of it, or the cultural miasms. Among the values that inform my creative practice include spontaneity. This is my spiritual practice in my writing and really in the way I conduct my life. I gain a lot of inspiration from the Black Mountain projectivist organic school of poem making, which has been the defining feature of innovative West Coast post-war poetry. My own spiritual tradition is based on the notion of how everything we do that's not spontaneous is artificial and eventually leads to illness. Other values include the inherent interconnection of all living things, something reinforced by a bioregional perspective. We can't know who we are unless we know where we are, and straight lines drawn on a map are of little use in that process, little use in an era when the climate system is collapsing, and with it many systems which we've taken for granted over the last couple of centuries. In the book Capitalist Realism, Is There No Alternative? Mark Fisher wrote this, and the first chapter says, it's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism, which is a very odd thing to consider, and very troubling, and reflective of the sickness of the culture in Western society and the lack of imagination. Diane de Prima said, the only war that matters is the war against the imagination. And so for the next 17 years, I'm engaged in a cultural animation of the bioregion, and I'd love your support.